Just as we step onto the grounds of Meiji Shrine, a small placard quietly catches my eye. It reads, April 11th. Empress Dowager Shokun's Memorial Service. She was the wife of Emperor Meiji, and after her passing in 1914, she was enshrined here beside him. As we pass by underneath the first Torii gate called the Great Gate, that's where the city ends, and the sacred begins. A Torii gate marks the transition from the ordinary world into sacred space. Meiji Shrine is dedicated to Emperor Meiji and Empress Dowager Shokan. It marks Japan's passage into the modern world, while remaining rooted in ancient Shinto tradition. As we move along the shrine's walkways, bamboo barriers gently guide us toward the inner precincts. Along the way, we pass rows of traditional Japanese shrine lanterns, known as Shinto Toro. Hundreds of them line the main approach, many donated in the early 20th century in honor of the Emperor and the Empress. Together, they stand as symbols of guidance, purification, and quiet reverence. This sign explains the story of the Meiji Shrine gardens beyond the main paths. Once part of a feudal estate, the land later became imperial ground during the Meiji era. These sake barrels are offerings from brewers across Japan. Used in Shinto rituals for centuries, they're displayed here as a symbol of gratitude and a prayer for the continued prosperity of Japan's traditional sake culture. Bourgogne wine is offered here as a reflection of Japan's openness during the Meiji era, when Western knowledge was embraced while traditional culture was carefully preserved. These barrels were donated by wineries in France as a gesture of goodwill and are consecrated here as symbols of friendship, peace, and the enduring ties between Japan and France. This sign explains that before us stands the Grand Shrine Gate, the largest wooden torii of the Myojin style in Japan. After being destroyed in 1966, it was carefully rebuilt and completed to match the original gate. At this point, we turn left toward the Meiji Shrine Gardens and to visit Kiyomasa'sWell. Today, this tranquil area is carefully preserved through a small maintenance contribution. We are now entering Meiji Jingu Garden, the inner garden of Meiji Shrine. During the Meiji period, this land formed part of the imperial estate, reserved almost exclusively for Emperor Meiji and Empress Shokan. Unlike the outer shrine grounds, which were designed for public worship, this garden was a deeply personal space. It was created for rest, reflection, and seasonal retreat, a place where the emperor could step away from the formal weight of state affairs and court ceremonies. This garden was never meant to impress visitors or convey power. Instead, it existed to maintain privacy and distance from the outer world. The surrounding forest acted as a natural boundary, shielding the imperial household from both the city and the public eye. For Emperor Meiji, this forested approach was more than just a path. It functioned as a quiet transition, a psychological buffer between public responsibility and personal time. With each step inward, the pace naturally slows, and the outside world begins to fall away. Ahead of us is the Cloud Pavilion. Despite its name, this was not a tea house in the social sense, nor a place for formal gatherings. It served a much simpler purpose. The pavilion functioned as a brief stopping point along the walk, a place where the emperor or members of the imperial household could pause, stand quietly, and look out over the garden. It reflects a broader Meiji-era preference for restraint, where meaning was found not in decoration, but in stillness and observation. The modest scale of the Cloud Pavilion is deliberate. Nothing here draws attention to itself. Instead, the structure encourages a moment of pause before moving on, reinforcing the garden's role as a place to slow time rather than fill it. Stepping down from the Cloud Pavilion, the garden opens almost immediately to a large body of water, the South Pond. This pond forms the quiet center of Meiji Jingu Garden. Long before this space became an imperial retreat, water features like this were central to Japanese landscape design. For Emperor Meiji, the pond offered a place for silent reflection. It was not meant for activity or recreation, but for watching light shift across the surface, foreseeing the surrounding trees reflected back in the water. The stillness of the pond mirrors the broader intention of the garden itself. Here, time feels less measured. The slow movement of clouds, the faint ripple of water, and the changing seasons all become part of the experience. Beside the south pond stands the Otsuri-dai, a wooden pavilion used by Emperor Meiji as a place to sit, rest, and quietly observe the water. The structure served primarily as a place for rest and contemplation. From this position, the emperor could remain still, watching the landscape change subtly with the passing hours. The design of the Otsuri-dai is intentionally simple. There is no ornamentation meant to impress, no sense of grandeur. Even within spaces built specifically for him, Emperor Meiji favored understatement. From the Otsuri-dai, the view is intentionally restrained. The still surface of the south pond lies in the foreground, framed by trees and seasonal vegetation beyond. Moving onward, we enter the Iris Garden. This section was particularly favored by the Empress, who took a deep interest in seasonal flowers and the changing rhythms of nature. Irises bloom only briefly in early summer, and their short flowering period has long been associated with impermanence, a central concept in Japanese thought. The garden was never intended to look the same from one visit to the next. Instead, it rewarded those who arrived at precisely the right moment. We are now heading toward Kiyomasa'sWell, a small, sacred spring where clear water continues to flow. This spring has supplied fresh water here for centuries and predates both the shrine and the imperial garden. Long before Emperor Meiji walked these paths, this water source was already part of the landscape. It is named after Kato Kiyomasa, a military leader from the early Edo period who is traditionally associated with this area. Unlike the structures linked to Emperor Meiji, the well was never meant to impress. It was not built to symbolize power or authority. Its importance lies in continuity, in the idea that this source of water has quietly endured through multiple historical eras, unchanged by shifting political worlds above it. Today, many visitors regard this place as the spiritual climax of the garden. The well's simplicity, its steady flow, and its deep sense of time create a quiet gravity that draws people in. From here, the path loops us back toward the outer precincts of the shrine grounds. As we continue into the final section of Meiji Shrine, we approach a water pavilion used for ritual purification. Visitors wash their hands and rinse their mouths. This act represents the symbolic removal of spiritual dust, preparing the body and mind to enter a sacred environment. Nearby stands a collection box reserved for old amulets and sacred objects. Returned items are later purified and ritually burned during shrine ceremonies, completing their spiritual cycle. We are witnessing a joyful scene. A proud couple carrying their baby, with photographers quietly following alongside. Families often come here to celebrate a child's first weeks of life. It reflects the shrine's enduring role as a place where life's major milestones are honored. Birth, marriage, and prayers for well-being. We encounter a camphor tree, quietly standing within the grounds. Camphor trees are revered for their longevity and resilience, and here it is regarded as a symbol of happy marriage and harmony within the family. They are believed to house spiritual presence and offer silent blessings to those who pass nearby. As we entered a courtyard, we were treated to an exhibit of flower arrangements, carefully displayed. These are offerings of beauty and balance, reflecting the Japanese aesthetic of harmony with nature. A directional sign points toward the guest hall, an area traditionally used to receive dignitaries and participants in shrine ceremonies. We then reach another courtyard, noticeably still and clearly restricted. This is an inner ceremonial space, not open to the public. Areas like this are reserved for priests and ritual observances. Wooden plaques, known as ema, hang from dedicated wooden racks. Each plaque carries a printed image chosen by the shrine, while the personal prayers and wishes are written by visitors on the reverse. They are later ritually purified and ceremonially burned, symbolically carrying each prayer forward. Nearby, tables are set out where visitors write short prayers or intentions on slips of paper. After writing, a small offering is usually made, and the papers are placed into a nearby prayer box. These written intentions are not read individually. Instead, They are collected by the shrine and included in formal purification rites, where the prayers are respectfully carried forward as part of the shrine's ongoing rituals. A sign marked Omikuji points toward the fortune boxes. Visitors draw slips from these boxes to receive a written fortune, which can range from great blessing to cautionary guidance. Each slip offers advice or reflection, giving visitors a moment to reflect on their choices and intentions. A votive tablet is a wooden tablet that may be taken home and placed respectfully, serving as a continual symbol of prayer and protection. Finally, we quietly exit the grounds of Meiji Shrine. A lone worker rakes and levels the pebbles. A simple act, yet deeply intentional. This shrine was built to honor Emperor Meiji and Empress Shokan. It doesn't ask for attention. It teaches us about rhythm, restraint, and the balance between action and reflection. I leave with a sense that the shrine asks not to be admired, but respected. Not to be rushed, but absorbed. As I step back into the city beyond the Torii gates, that calm, measured pace stays with me.